Hello, I'm Shannon Brinker, and I want to welcome you today to our Invisalign tip of the day. Our tip of the day is going to be proper etching techniques, and what we're going to talk about is exactly how to place the etchant and most importantly, making sure that we have good isolation. But before we go into that, I want you to really think about that placement of attachments. The first thing that I do is I will pull up the ClinCheck to know exactly how many attachments are going to be placed, what is the shape of those attachments, and most importantly, comparing them to the template. I always take the template and I'm going to hold it up in the light. And there's nothing wrong with thinking about, looking exactly where it's going to go, but really comparing that to the attachment template. I also want to feel it. We are tactile people in dentistry. We want to touch it. We want to feel it. We want to know exactly where they're going to be. So not only am I looking at the ClinCheck, I'm holding it up in the light so I know and see where it's going to be in comparison to the ClinCheck, but I'm also going to take my fingers and run it across the template so I just kind of feel and know, and it's kind of a third point of reference, if that makes sense. So here, what I'm doing is I'm showing you with Anna's case, the different shapes and how much, and I'm really thinking about this in my mind, not only where is the etchant going to go, but how much composite I'm going to need to place in that attachment window. This is where we see failures. We didn't etch long enough. We didn't know exactly where to place the bonding agent. So a lot of times assistants will just say, you know what, I want to go through that. I want to just etch the entire tooth and bond the entire tooth. And then what happens is we're sitting there picking off all the excess resin, or we're having the doctor come back in with a carbide and removing all the excess. And what happens a lot of times is, instead of patients having a really good experience, they're feeling us picking and scraping off all the excess resin. So I really don't want you to be doing that. The ultimate goal for me as the Invisalign is to not have the dentist come back in, to be able to place those attachments, but most importantly, placing them correctly. The other avenue that we see is when we're placing these is not utilizing a really good etchant. And when we look at all the different types of etch out there, I do not want an etch that when I squeeze it out is going to go everywhere or get clogged. I really like nice, I would say almost creamy, frosty like or frosting, squeezable etchant that I can squeeze out, not having to worry that it's going to go everywhere, but most importantly, it not be runny. I want something that's going to be thick and viscous, and the best part about this etchant material is that I can see it. Notice that it's purple. This is from Kerr, and I really love this etch. I also like one from Ultradent. I'm using a needle nose tip, so this way I know exactly where it's going to go. But notice it's not running. It is just, I can load it right on top of a layer after layer after layer, and I am constantly comparing it. I have that ClinCheck right in front of me, going back and forth, and knowing where it's going to be placed and strategically placing my etchant. This will allow for proper bond technique. It will, decrease all of the resin that is going to be going on the tooth, because if we don't acid etch the entire tooth, you can imagine that the bonding agent is going to adhere only to where we are acid etching the tooth. So this is our Invisalign tip of the day. I hope that this will help you have those proper bonding techniques, and most importantly, really cut down on the time and minimize the time so you can be very efficient the day that those attachments are placed. I'm Shannon Brinker with the Invisalign tip of the day, and we look forward to hearing from you, and most importantly, having you continue to watch these little tips of the day, and most importantly, perfect your attachment placement technique.